Hi guys, welcome back. So on today's episode, we're going to be shooting the Q&A video, which has been highly anticipated for a few weeks now by the people who have asked the questions. So over the last 2 months, we've put a few feelers into social media about people to ask us questions about, business life, about me and Kelly, about our team, how we do things, and anywhere in between those topics. So I'm going to answer every single question that has been submitted over the last 8 weeks, honestly and in depth as well, if the question kind of demands it. So I've got my trusty phone here. I've got the list up. I'm going to try and, name as many people as I'm allowed and who's asked these questions. And hopefully that helps them as well, especially if they're a business. So just going off Instagram first, we've had question number one, first one. So Hypercar Valetine, it's Rich. He is the personal detailer for Zach's Garage. If you want to check him out on Instagram, YouTube, he's got a multi-million pound kind of car collection ranging from cars from the 50s all the way to the modern hypercars. Most notably, the new Koenigsegg Regera. So Rich, thanks for the question. It says, are you planning on developing any waxes or polishes? I'll answer the polish question first. So for the people who've emailed us in general asking about this question or just what do you recommend, are you going to do on regards polishes, I've always had the same answer. The companies you see that are coming out, and they're brand new companies, and they come out with a massive range. And within this range, they've got a polish. So it's an all-in-one polish or, cut and compound or a finishing polish. These polishes, and as I said, I'm going to be honest, these polishes are rebranded, okay? It's the base formula product that has been basically rebranded, new color, new scent, pretty much no development work is required with a product like this. And you can see them everywhere. So basically, a lot of these people, I wouldn't say the prosumer, but the weekend warriors are buying these polishes. They're not doing very much. They're full of glazes, they're full of fillers, and they go, bam, it looks amazing. They give it a good wash next week if they've mixed the foam dilution ratio is a little bit too strong, and it's just stripped most of the fillers off. The car's back to square one, and people are like, this product doesn't work. Oh, this product's not very good, and a polish is a gimmick, etc., etc. And I'm sure the people who watch this video who do it for a living or who just polish cars out of the fun of it for themselves know exactly what I'm talking about. So you've got the big players as well in this, so the complete opposite end of the spectrum, who we use and other pros around the world use, and they do professional grade results. So the cut and compound is one, finishing polish is another, and obviously in between we've got medium cuts, etc., etc. So to chase down the big boys, like I say, you need millions of pounds of R&D money to do bespoke formulas, because that's what it takes nowadays. If you were doing this 20 years ago, maybe I'm way off on that number, but currently in 2020, when there's so many good compounds, you need a lot of money to either reach the benchmark or exceed the benchmark. And this is exactly where we want to be. So when people say, when are you going to develop a polish? You need a lot of money. So our plan is to keep dripping into the polish fund, whether it be weekly, daily, monthly. Take it a step at a time. If it's going to take us 3 years, it'll take us 3 years. But when that polish lands, it's going to be the best that at the time, obviously, technologically advanced polish that you can buy. And because we do, super, super nice cars, we do full paint corrections, small paint corrections, we know the limitations of a polish. And because of this, things take time. So I try and educate people, because people think it's all the same, it all comes from the same source, it's X, Y, Z, which it's not. So the polish line it's been in development over 12 months. We're nowhere near ready with it, so hopefully that kind of answers your question. If you watch some of the previous videos, you've seen us already trying variant 1 and 2, and it's good. It's good, to most people it'd be like, right, off to market, but to us, when you're trying to nail the last 5%, 2% in some cases, that's where the real development starts. As I say, it's not when it's the easy stuff. There's only a few ways you can skin a cat, which is obviously you'll get a bottle of polish, and it's the special sauce that makes it the best. So yes, still in development. The answer to your second part of your question, are we doing waxes? People who know me, I'm a big wax advocate. The cupboard behind me over there has got hundreds of waxes ranging from £30 to £1,000, £2,000 waxes. One or two are slightly more expensive than that, but I love wax. All my cars have always been waxed. I do a lot of mileage, so this is kind of, you know, things not to wax a car when you're doing a lot of mileage, but the car gets maintained. And we've got the capability and the resources to maintain a certain wax coat the best it can possibly be. Now, manufacturers are starting to come out with, you know, these super durable, you know, 6-month, 12-month waxes, and they're all chemical resistant and asteroid resistant. That's a pun. And the beauty of a wax, if you speak to the people who kind of know what a wax should be, a wax has always been pleasurable to use. You know, it has a certain characteristic where it adds the gloss, the warmth, you know, that dripping wet gloss that waxes became famous for. And now people are reducing all of those capabilities in favor for durability. Now, my opinion is, if you really want to use a durable product, why not try spray sealant? That's what spray sealant is designed. You know, it's fully inorganic, so there's nothing man-made in it, and it's designed to last longer. And you've got obviously the ceramic lines now coming out, or been around for many years, and you know, they just took durability to a whole different level. Now, if you want to use a wax, you're using the wax for a certain reason, and that reason is you just want to give it just that pow, pow, pop. And the cars will look absolutely stunning, but they might last you 2 months, they might last you 3 months. But if you like to wax your car, like me and millions of other people, and it gives you a specific revered look, then why do you need 6-12 months durability, especially if you're using a topping agent, whether it be a spray wax, or amongst other things. You don't need the crazy durability because you're constantly topping. You knock it back one step, you add it by 1.5 step with the toppers. So you're always adding a little bit more. So waxes are definitely coming. I will not reveal this kind of when, what, in what form. Let me just tell you, there's a family being built around wax. Now, that's all I'm going to say is there's a good development time behind this. We've got actually a specific team working on this around the clock, where obviously they then give it to me and Kelly. They say, have a look, this is this, and this is the beauty of us, that we have a, you know, certain kind of pet projects of ours have a dedicated team. So we're not splitting from, let's say, a wheel cleaner going to a spray wax, which is completely two different things. We'll have something on the wheel cleaner side, we'll have a couple of people there, we've got a couple of people on, say, a wax side, and they can concentrate 100%. So again, when it does come, the first one of the line, when that does come, it's amazing. That's all I'm going to say is I'm happy with it, and if I'm happy with it, I would say 99.9% of other people will be happy with it and they're going to enjoy it. So hopefully that answered your question, Rich. A little bit long-winded. So Kelly, not my Kelly, so Kelly Herbert, lovely girl, amazing. She's been a few times up from us. She's from down south. Lovely customer as well. So gift boxes, any more ideas around them? So we did do her custom gift box last year. In terms of custom gift boxes, something is in the works to have like a permanent edition, but the demand is not there in terms of when you go on a website, you click down a bar and it says, would you like, you know, like on some websites, do you want this gift wrapped? A lot of the people that buy gifts, actually, we've got a huge gift demand, but usually they say, please don't brand the box in terms of the box that it comes in. But we are working on something where it's a permanent feature on a handful of products where, on the shop shelves, they'll be in a certain box, whether that be a collector's edition, collector's items. Again, we try and do it right. So as and when that comes out, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure. So that's Kelly. Thanks for the question, by the way. So TJ's detailing. Would you guys ever do a mystery bucket where you get a random product or random number of products inside for a set price? So we've done mystery boxes. Everybody loves the mystery boxes. Again, it's a mystery and you pay X and you get Y, which is always like a lot more. But the answer to your question, actually, when this video drops, it's actually happening as we speak. So it's Halloween, leading up to Halloween and just after. So it actually ends on the 8th of November, 2020, which is a Sunday. So from when this video drops, you will have a week and a half. Mystery buckets, just a quick spec on the mystery bucket is, in our case, you pay £100. And within £100, you will get the full bucket package. So the buckets, the grid guards, and the gamma seals, which are all original parts from the US. So they're not cheap. They're not the Chinese buckets. They're really sturdy. It's a plastic thickness of 90 mil, not physically off a ruler, but it's a plastic kind of measurement and guideline. So it's the thickest you can buy in the world. The closest competition to it is 60 mil. So we are like way above there. So part of that package in there, we just give you a minimum of £150 worth of goods. So if you think about it, you've got £50 worth of free stuff. Certain buckets will also contain £200. So we've got like a limited number of those, where we just, whether you're the best customer for us or you're the first time customer, we don't give any judgmental. We actually have a system for that where it picks. So imagine if we have 10 limited £200 buckets, we've got a piece of software where it'll just pick out customers. So in some cases, the first ever purchase, you'll get the best bucket, or if you've purchased 100 times, you get the best bucket. So it's a complete randomized system. So £150, and that's everything. It's anything in our range. But with this specific mystery bucket, every bucket is guaranteed to receive our brand new pre-release product, which is exclusively only available in the mystery buckets. Every bucket is guaranteed. There is no randomness in this. Everybody will get this, and it's a very special product to us. So hope that answers your question. You might just be in time for the mystery bucket, and hope you enjoy it with a new product as well, which is amazing. So Christian, again, a very good customer of ours. He's a Mustang guy. That's how we originally met. It's actually quite a good question. So who do you consider to be your main competition in the UK market as a newcomer? And how do you think you'll compare and compete in 5 years' time? So first line, who's your main competition? Who would you consider your main competition? So I'll answer that one first. I'll be honest, we don't class ourselves or anybody else as competition to us. Reason is, each company's got a different approach. Some companies like to do high volume sales with 75% sales on every other day. So you get that. You can get some companies who've got completely no sales on, but they've got stinking customer service. There's some really, really good brands, and the brands that I would say, are like the most premium, apart from in the UK, I would say are not in the UK, apart from us. So like me and Kelly and the rest of the team, we honestly think we're probably the most premium brand, and we, on many aspects. Through customer service, which is actually quite easily achievable. It's just people need to just be nice. But in terms of just the product, the way we develop it, in the UK, I think we are the most premium. There is a few US brands. That's what I try to say is, I'd say the other premium brands I wouldn't say are really in the UK. That's just my opinion, just from the testing we have done. So in terms of competition, if you look at just the reviews, like our delivery times, the fastest in the country. We don't give anybody a choice. We don't say you can pay, say, £2.50 for your normal delivery and £7 for premium delivery. We charge actually under our pricing. So for DPD, we offer people DPD, this is the point I'm getting to, and we don't charge what we get charged. So we actually lose £2.20 per shipment. So just think about it. If you order a bottle worth £10, minus our costs, packaging costs, we're already losing £2.20 on top of that. So I'm being honest. So we don't give anybody a choice. You are getting next working day delivery. And that's kind of, again, I think that sets us apart as well, because even on our community page on Facebook, people, well, there's a joke going that we must live in the bushes outside people's houses because it's just super quick. But the way we develop products, we really take care. I would much rather have, so currently we have 9 full product lines. I'm excluding accessories here. We've got 9 full product lines. I would much rather have 9 products which have been cared for professionally and had a very good development budget behind them, rather than 19 products where they're down the road, it's just another, say, wheel cleaner with a different label. I would much rather have the 9 because it always bites people in the bum. They push products out, they get too involved in the product line in terms of, because it's, let's say my name's Paul, Paul's Car Care. They get so involved, you know, that, you know, whole it's my child syndrome, that it's the best, where realistically it's not, because he's pumping out a product a month and you just haven't got that time to develop a product. Every single product will break. I urge anybody, if any car care owners are watching this, no product sample from your first attempt has ever been got right. Nobody. And if you say it has, you're lying. But to some people, they will get a product and they'll go, it works, makes a car shiny, yep, there you go, slap a label on it. Whereas with us, we will break a single product and just almost to a reason where we're actually our own worst enemies. And we have to rail in our own testing, because sometimes we test it in a condition that will never happen in the world. So some people just get variant 1, slap a bottle on. I'm not saying this is every company, but the vast majority, and say, I'm happy. And then they'll pump a few pounds into Facebook, Instagram, YouTube marketing, and there you go, there's a product brand, or a product line, I'm sorry. So in terms of our product development, I think that sets us apart from a lot of people, probably all the people. And don't get me wrong, there's huge brands, 500, 600 million pound a year brands. And, you know, I respect them as well. They've got really good development teams. But I'm not talking about those people, because, you know, their names are set in stone. And this is the thing about the industry, when you speak to people and you've got your top 5 brands, okay, that everybody talks about. And then another brand comes along, who people don't know have got a very big budget, have got a very big team behind them, they've got kind of business mentors and business coaches who've supported them from day 0, and they go, it's a rebranded brand, and they just haven't got a clue. So when, like, you can't tell me that you got the big 5 brands and from then on for the rest of eternity there is never going to be another competitor brand. It just doesn't work that way. In that case, you would only have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Porsche, because those cars were, you know, from the 50s and 60s. So, but look how many car brands we have now, good car brands. Plenty. So it's healthy to have a lot of competition, but it has to be done right. So hopefully I've answered your question there in terms of, as a newcomer, what kind of sets us apart. And the people who've used our product line and our distribution network, I think, is a testament to what I've just said, because as of the day this video is filmed, it's been realistically a year and a half, and we've pumped into 16 countries, which not many people who've done it for 10 years have done this. So hopefully that's a testament. Now, the second part of your question, how do you think you'll compare in 5 years' time? Now, I know the reason, Christian, why you're asking this question, because you know the brand, I know the brand you love, including ours. There's 2 brands that you ever use. And the brand another brand that you use is huge, absolutely massive. Awesome guys as well, by the way, over there. In 5 years' time, how do you think we'll compete? If everything goes the way it's going now and the way we've planned it, again, nothing ever goes to plan. If anybody's saying it, they don't know what they're talking about, but it's, you know, we've got a road. There might be a few kind of speed bumps along the way, but if everything goes the way it's going now, I think I've got huge ambition. I mean, at the current time, we've got 6 properties. 1 you see here. The others are kind of our fulfillment centers, filling centers in terms of, you know, where the chemicals get automatically filled, where they get automatically bottled on a huge line, and various other centers. So again, to do that in a year and a half through the coronavirus, which again, a lot of businesses have lost business, which again is not good. So I'm not going to kind of talk too much about that. But in 5 years' time, I think we're just going to grow where we're going, and our current distribution network is not a reseller shop taking 4 bottles of each line. This is big kind of people who just take our lines, so they've got no choice but to sell kind of, you know, 47 other brands, and you can only give each brand 5% of your time per day. These people, you know, like for example, YumCars Spain, he just sells YumCars in Spain. He's took Spain over, he's took Portugal now as well. He's got the Canary Islands. It's crazy, and he distributes north, east, south. Same thing with Estonia. He's got 4 countries. Belgium has got 3. Egypt is, you know, he's kind of moving into Dubai, Qatar, Arab Emirates. It's crazy. Cyprus has got Cyprus and Greece. So, and we've got constantly, you know, people kind of saying, can I be your official? Because that's what we offer, you know. You need to be kind of a mini me and Kelly. You have to, it doesn't matter. You can say, I'm going to give you 10 grand of product sales. You know, I'm going to give you that order, or even more, some people offer. But it's the people. No matter how much money that you offer on the table, you can damage the brand. And this is, again, going back to question number 1, Christian, is where we're different, because people just take it, you know, and we're in 11 countries and all this, but you're not, because these people are making small orders. They are making kind of the brand not the best image, because again, they don't care. But when people call themselves, for example, YumCars Spain, and that's their main line of business, that is YumCars or nothing, they are the best people, because they're part of the family. And they kind of hold an equity within the business that you think, you know, I need to make this work. So in 5 years' time, I think we're going to be in most major kind of tier 1 countries easily. We're already kind of in most European countries. I wouldn't say all of them, but again, it's work in progress. South America's on the books, North America's on the books. We want to go into Asia, Australia, again, everywhere. Russia, that's a big market as well. So that's the 5-year plan. We're going to hopefully, you know, buy a massive piece of land, build on it, so it's kind of, you know, we're looking kind of for the resting place of YumCars within a year and a half of the brand. So you could see where the brain's kind of moving to. We've got a lot of ambition. We've got, and as I said, the main thing, it's one thing having an ambition or a dream, which is amazing, by the way. It's how to execute it. So we've got a lot of people behind us who have done not this as the car care side, but business, you know, and we've got friends who are helping us massively in terms of, again, not with the business, because we've had no help with any kind of business acumen. We've just got help on how to do things, how to do distribution from people who distribute to 190 countries. So, you know, it's a huge help. So in 5 years' time, I think it's going to be bright. And, you know, I try and educate people through answers and questions like this, and through my other videos just about car care, again, I've got a huge passion in car care, but just in business in general, and some things may not be as they seem as told from the other side. So I try and kind of demyth a few of the kind of things you see in life. So again, long-winded, but I hope it's helping you out. So in fact, talking about Spain, we've got a guy from Spain, one of his best customers. So in English it's reading Jesus, but it's Jesus, if I'm correct, Jesus. So hope you're well, by the way. So how to clean microfibers correctly. How many microfibers do you recommend? For example, 2 utilities, 2 to dry. When can we buy the IPA and engine bay cleaner? Those 2 aren't even in the pipeline, but thank you for adding another 2 products on the list. So how do you clean microfibers correctly? We get this question asked all the time, and we get tagged in forums asking this, but it's very, very simple. So microfiber towels, if you look at what they're made of, so polyester, polyamide, it's probably the best invention in the detailing industry in the last 20 years, easy. So if you look after premium, this is the most important thing, premium microfiber, and not the, you know, the knockoff stuff that you buy for a pack of 50 for £1. If you look after premium microfiber correctly, it will last you years. So when you go and buy a towel for £8 and you think, well, wow, that's expensive, I can buy 100 towels for that, but those 100 towels will probably last you 1 or 2 washes, which if you do high volume work, that's not a lot. Whereas we got some towels in there that have got us 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even before the business was open, and they're still going strong. They get tested on black paint. I keep those towels for as long as I can, is to kind of show people that, you know, if you look after them, they'll kind of, you know, be worthwhile in the investment. It's pennies a day, realistically, if you look after them. So how to wash them? So I always recommend separating your wash bays, your wash kind of bins. So we've got, on the other side of this camera, we've got a line of bins where we'll have, let's say, our plush towel. Our plush towel is only used on the paint. So the plush towels will go in to a load when we make a big enough load. And we'll do interior utility towels. We'll do door jamb utility towels. These are all separate bins, by the way. So every time I name a new kind of thing, it's a new bin. So interior, door jambs, and wheels. So door jambs and wheels is the same towel kind of type. So the reason we don't wash utility towels and plush towels together, the exterior and the interior ones, is because if you've just been, let's say, wiping wax, okay, or paint sealant or something like that, and then you put it on a good wash with the right chemicals, it all starts to mix within the laundry bin, and a little bit of wax can then come kind of engraved within the utility towel. So when you wash and dry them, you go and use your utility towel to clean glass, you potentially wiping glass. You're potentially wiping wax or sealant on the inside of your glass. You're then going to get smears. You're then going to get glare, whether it's super bright in the summer or dark nights and the lights hit you from this way. And all of a sudden, you've got a problem because you then say, well, the glass cleaner is rubbish, or the towel is rubbish, or is there something on the glass that I'm not aware of? You've just put it on. So this is why interiors get washed with interior. So our utility towels only get used with glass cleaner and the YumInterior, which have got no dressings, no kind of hydrophobics in, like no protective elements. So, you know, we're washing cleaners with cleaners. The plush towels doesn't really matter. We use a detail spray, ceramics, not the ceramics where, you know, you've got 98% kind of silica content where you're doing a 5-year package. The reason I say that is those towels that do get used for the removal of that type of ceramic get chucked straight in the bin. We don't even rewash them and use them for wheels because, again, once ceramic starts to harden up within the towel and you go and, you know, use with detail spray, a week later you've got shards of glass in there, realistically. So yeah, we'll just put them in the bin. It's part of the expenses of the business. And then, as I said, door jambs and wheels and engine bay towels, we just put them in together because they're like the most horriblest, mankiest towels. And again, we tend to wash that pile on a slightly hotter, so we wash them on 40 degrees, whereas everything else gets washed on 30, and just the extra heat kind of opens up the fibers. Now, in terms of what chemicals do you use to wash, you can either use non-bio liquid, only liquid, not powder. The reason no powder, because if the cycle isn't long enough or powder hasn't fully dissolved even in a long cycle, you can potentially have little granules of wash powder in the microfiber towels, wipe it on the paint, scratch, swirl, you know. So not good. Liquid's the only one, but it has to be non-bio, and I would recommend actually the cheaper the better on this one. So like a Tesco's or Asda's own brand, because because they get billed to a price, they try and put as little, well, actually zero fragrance, conditioner, softener, because they haven't got the margin. Whereas if you start going Ariel and Persil, all these multi-tabs, you can see they've got 4 little things within the tab, and you've got conditioners, all that sort of stuff. So non-bio liquid, no conditioners, no nothing in the conditioner tray. Just wash them, air dry them. You can spin them in the tumble dryer for about 60 seconds on a cool cycle just to froth them up. Or you can use a microfiber detergent. Now, people say, what is a microfiber detergent? A microfiber detergent, realistically, chemically, you know, if you were just to write on a piece of paper what it is, it's the most purest form of detergent you can buy. So, give you an example, a car shampoo, it's classed as a detergent, a very pure one as well. Now, paint is slightly different, where you want to try and inbuild, you know, slickening agents. Some shampoos have got waxes, ceramics, or stripping soap. So obviously that formula will eventually get mixed with other potent chemicals to make it do its job perfectly, you know. But a premium microfiber wash is literally a detergent with no slick. I mean, imagine, why do you need a slickening agent, for example, within a microfiber wash system? Because what's that going to do during the wash stage? So you've saved yourself an extra space in the bottle for more detergent. You don't need no waxes or sealants in there, so you've spared yourself even more. And when you keep knocking off things you don't need, you can add more of the things you do need. So it's a pure detergent that doesn't add anything to the towels, doesn't remove anything from the towels in terms of, you know, it's not like bleeding a colour or anything like that. It just literally removes all the dirt, all the grease, while just keeping them supple. Now, it's more expensive, not by much, by the way, and people say, well, I don't want to, like, why do I want to spend £9 a bottle, so a 500ml bottle, for example, or 10 or 15, 20 quid? But if you're like me, and if you're like some of the other weird and crazy people out there, and you've got, you know, thousands of pounds worth of microfiber, which you love and you care for, and just forget I'm a business, you know, even before I had this business, I had £1,000 of microfiber, you know, drying towels, buffing towels, everything. It's an investment. It's the same thing with your clothes, your jeans, your cars. Everything is an investment. So I would recommend, you know, you either use one of those two things. Nothing is going to hurt you realistically, but a microfiber detergent is probably the best kind of solution for you. So I hope that helped. So I think there might be, so on this list, it is down, and I'm going to go into my next list. So in fact, it's the same guy, but just on a different platform. He said, I clean the glass with 2 microfibers, one to apply YumGlass and one to dry it. I have smudges, not so clean. So exactly what I just said to you. You could have had something on the towel. How do you wash your towel? So if you follow my last question that I've answered to you, your second question may be resolved very easily. Now, in some cases, I had a customer come in here. He said he used a glass polish on the inside of his glass because, again, old school people think a polish is everything. You know, detail spray is a polish, a wax is a polish. So he used the polish on the glass. He then used the YumGlass, and it just smeared everywhere. I said, interesting. So it took him 10 minutes to explain to me, but then I realized what he's put. So he's got like an oil-based substance on the inside of his glass, and then you put a little bit of glass cleaner on. It doesn't matter which glass cleaner, and he smeared it. So I said, okay. So we pulled the car in here. I hit it with 100% IPA. Obviously, I didn't spray it. I did half the glass. And obviously I wiped it off, used a bit of Yum glass, and no problems. So in this case, he had an interfering kind of substrate material on top of his glass. Some people use dirty towels, some people don't use the right towel. So when you get a very cheap towel, especially when you get like a 99% polyester, 1% polyamide. I'll give you an example, ours is 70-30, so you could see the ratio is way off there. In some cases, you can push that much dirt into a towel that the towel can't absorb any more of it. So even if you flip it, it's already come through that other side here. And then you think you're wiping with a clean kind of microfiber side, and you're not. So you kind of maybe reapplying the dirt back onto the glass. You could be cleaning it in the super hot weather where the glass cleaner is just not having enough time to dwell and work. And you could just be doing an extra large panel. So you could do the entire windscreen. So you do this, and by the time you do the whole glass, obviously it's a big windscreen, you come up here and it's dry, then you're smearing it. So there could be a few issues. What I would recommend personally, the way I clean glass, I use a minimum a 2-towel method, but I'm slowly transitioning to a 3-towel method. So towel 1 and 2 is exactly the same. So you've got your wet, horrible towel that you're picking up the contaminants. Towel 2, which is just the industry standard, the 2-towel method, is you then take a dry towel and you technically buff the glass and you're removing any of the residue of the glass. Now my 3rd towel, I do it because, especially my new car now, it's very low, I'm 6'6", and it's not the best to get in and out of 40 times. So I take a 3rd towel and I just repeat the same, I re-wipe just to make sure if I've missed any sort of residue. And this has actually really saved me, because even if you missed a little square in the middle of your windscreen and you get out the car, you shine your light on the outside, that's my trick. I just look, and you can immediately, it just picks up a streak, and you're thinking, oh God, so I've got to get back in the car, take another towel, wipe it. Whereas I just do it all inside the car. And I still recheck, and I've had no issues so far. So that extra 3rd towel has really helped me in that kind of endeavor. So which is your favorite product? I'm guessing so LSJ Fitness. Which is your favorite product? I'm guessing you mean my product line. So favorite product, I'm going to answer it, and probably most people will choose one of these. So all our products sell extremely well, but you still have to give, people say, what's your best seller? Even though they're all amazing sellers, some sell slightly better than others because of the type of product it is. So I would honestly say it's a very close one between 3 products. It's always 3 for me. So Yum Wheels, we've made a cracker there. So Yum Wheels, amazing. It's got so many purposes. Detail sprays, so the Yum Detailer, again, the people who've used Detailer, in fact, that's the best-selling product in the company line. Number 2 selling product in the company, but obviously one of my favorites is Wheel Cleaner, and the 3rd I'm about to mention is Yum Ceramic. Now, when you do Yum Ceramic on fresh paint and you maintain it with a detail spray, those 2 just work amazingly with each other. Those 3 are the best for me. I love it all. So next question, when is the next show and shine? In the current climate, you're probably looking until next year, probably late spring. So yeah, what concentration do you use your products at? So the way we've made it, we didn't want to get into a market where you have to buy a 5L, so a 5-liter container, and you have to dilute it 37.3 to 1. I'm joking there, but for example, 10 to 1, 15 to 1. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. They mix it too strong and they end up hurting the paint. They mix it too weak and it's not giving it enough punch. And then people say, I don't like it. A lot of people don't like pouring. Yes, you can get taps, which we have the 5Ls as well with taps. But still, it's not the user experience that we want to give the customer. So we've made the product the strongest threshold per type of product. Obviously, each one's different. As strong as we can, yet as easy to use as you can. So it's a very hard line to cross, if I'm honest, because the stronger you start, like I said with the waxes, the stronger you start making the waxes, and the last 47 years, you are going to lose something eventually, which is, yeah, ease of use. So it's exactly the same thing with the other products. We've made it as basically as best as we can do of 2019, 2020, you know, of what the technology has to offer. And yeah, I would just use them as they come in the bottle. Obviously, you need to dilute the foam, you need to dilute the shampoo, because you can't use a bottle of shampoo per wash. Well, you can, but if you want to be flushing your arches full of foam for the next month, then I wouldn't recommend it. But for example, foam, you can even do 20 to 1. So 20 to 1 is 50 mil. So 50 mil of foam to a litre cannon, 10 to 1 is 100 mil to obviously 900 mil of water. So you could do it like that. It also depends on the pressure washer you've got as well. Like for the foam cannon, you can even knock them down even lower, but up your pressure where, you know, the foam's like a lot thicker. But everything else that you see, anything that comes with a spray trigger is designed to be used as is, and you're going to get the best results that's possible. Next question, just moving over to the Facebook. So Aki Ali, he's one of our kind of very active members in the community. He's a good customer of ours, so it's quite a good question. When you first bought the Mustang, was there any swirls in the paintwork? So the simple answer is yes. At the time I lived in London, so all my equipment was up at my parents' house around 250 miles away. So yes, it wasn't a possibility for me at the time because of my work commitments to go up there and take a week off and do the usual paint correction, etc. So I knew I had some time coming up, some time off, and I thought it'd be a waste to waste actually other holiday time. So my only job when I got back with the Mustang was to do the full decon, obviously chemical and mechanical, so with the clay. Yes, I know it causes issues with the paint if you're not polishing right after, but I knew that anyway. So my only goal was to cleanse the surface, so exfoliate it and protect the hell out of it, because it was actually leading into like the winter time. In fact, it was in the middle of winter. So the goal was just to put as many layers of protection as possible, wait it out till past winter, and then do the full paint correction, which I then did anyway, and then move on from there. So what was the first car you professionally detailed? First car professionally detailed was a Ferrari 458. So that's professionally. Obviously, I'm going to show you this. I've still got the pictures. So this was kind of the first car that I was on the hook for, if that makes sense. So, so as you can see, God, I look young. So there we go. There's the first car. I'm going to try and get. Wait, any good pictures? But yeah, that was afterwards. Yeah, so Ferrari 458 was brand new, lots of paint issues. Yeah, so I was a young blood back then. It seems like a lifetime ago, yet it seems like it was yesterday as well at the same time. It's the way time moves forward is crazy. So a guy called Corey has asked, can some ceramic coatings be applied outside? Realistically, no is the answer. Yes, there's one company who does a coating that lasts 12 months that can sort of be applied outside, so it's more resistant to kind of moisture, etc. But realistically, when you're talking 12 months, I wouldn't recommend it, because you can have a paint sealant or paint sealant top with wax, like a very durable, like a winter wax. So why would you go through the potential precaution of messing something like that up for 12 months durability? I mean, a base standard coating nowadays lasts 3 years. Some 5, some 7, 9 in case, but those are like pro grade only. But up to 5 years you can do quite easily. So for 12 months, I wouldn't recommend it. And if you do apply one of those coatings, which I've just mentioned, 3-5 year coatings, which anybody can get their hands on, no, do not do it outside, because what's going to happen is you're going to go to a body shop pretty much the next day. don't forget, it has to be 24, 36, maybe even 48 hours sometimes. It depends on where you live in the world. But 24 hours minimum, where it has to be in a temperature controlled environment. Some coatings are specifically designed to be baked on. So infrared lights, you know, you see the like red in the pulse. Some coatings are literally, that's the only way you can apply them, is to bake them on after application, because you could put it on, be like, I don't want to spend 2, 3, whatever, 5 grand on a lighting setup, and the coating will die in a week. Now, I mean, this is, you can't probably count those coatings on your hands. There's very specific lines there, but outside, I wouldn't recommend it. Dylan, Dylan Hutchinson, what's yours and Kelly's favorite car you have detailed? Probably both of our favorite cars that we've detailed, we can't talk about, because it was never published or publicized that we ever had this car in here. So that's a very hard question. But the cars we can talk about, it depends. Some cars have got, some cars have got the exterior that we just love, you know, the right curves. Some have got the best interior. So we did this, probably the best interior that we've ever done was on a Ferrari, actually. So a Ferrari Lusso GTC or GTC4. I have never been in a car that is as capable as that car, and the interior is just amazing. And I'm 6'6", so that's saying something. So it's a supercar that literally had the most plush, comfortable interior. You could just lie down. It was unbelievable. A lot of tech, obviously. Ferrari, they had this roof, so it started at the windscreen, obviously the windscreen glass went all the way to the back, and all. It was just huge. And when we were obviously cleaning the car, and you were lying on the kind of almost horizontal, wiping the inside glass, and you just think, wow, you know, there's a lot of glass on the roof. So that was probably one of the best interiors we've done. I'll tell you what was surprising. One of our probably most regular customers who did a paint correction for a BMW X5 50D. So yeah, it was the M Performance one. And again, this is just a little quirk here, but probably the best leather seats I've ever worked on. It was just so comfortable. And when you're moving cars, you know, outside to inside and stuff, it was just amazing. Exterior wise, easy, you know, I mean, we've done a lot of Lambos. I love Lamborghini. Exterior especially, it's just a beautiful car. But yeah, we've had a few in here that we would say are our favorites. But as I said, the ultimate favorites we've had, which is again a couple, we can't talk about, so we're not allowed to. I'll leave that one at that. So Dylan Hutchinson, again, another Dylan. What's yours and Kelly's? Now, I don't know what that means, but if I think what you mean is everything is mine and everything is hers, and we share everything. So the cars are ours, the houses are ours, so the business is ours. Everything is 50-50. There's nothing he owns it, she owns it. Everything we do nowadays, apart from like trainers and jeans, we buy, you know, together. It's split properly, and yes, so this is why obviously yeah, I think she takes more of a part in the business than I do nowadays. She runs it, she does everything, so she's an amazing woman. Adam Gill, what is one major skill that sets apart Weekend Warriors, and it just for some reason it cuts it off, and I'm guessing you mean detailers or valeters, or valeters then detailers. To be honest, not a lot. I have met some Weekend Warriors who I also like to call the one level above a Weekend Warrior, a prosumer. So not a fully fledged pro, you know, because I've got a unit or a business name, but not a consumer as well, where you buy it as a gift and you don't really know what you're doing. So prosumers, like, I would say up there. I've met some Weekend Warriors, prosumers who are better than detailers, and I mean that. I've some wicked guys who people don't know of. And in fact, I was in that boat. I had 10 years. 10 years. I bought every product 3 times or twice or whatever. I bought every product line: good, the cheap, the expensive, the foreign one, the domestic one. And I just tested everything over and over again. And by the way, there was no ever intention of ever doing this. So, as a business, and I was just doing it out of just pure sheer like knowledge acquisition and, enjoyment. Like nobody was paying me. In fact, I was paying companies to buy their stuff. So in terms of what sets apart, if you look at a good pro, obviously a lot of people are going to say paint corrections. People have had a lot more time on the machines. It's a weekend warrior may not have that time, because at the end of the day, you could paint correct your mum's car, your dad's car, your sister's car, your car, your neighbour's car, and then what? You can probably ever do 10 cars to the people who you really truly know. But a pro obviously has done that, what I've just mentioned, plus probably another 100 cars, and then he's got into the pro level and he's doing cars weekly, daily, however much. So I would say experience really sets certain people apart, and just sometimes attention to detail. I'm very light in how I say this, because we've actually fixed a lot of other detailers working here, and some of it's very obvious. And I don't mean where we've had to take the car panels off and inspect it with a surgical torch and say, there, you've missed this. It's not that. It's where you would look at a car and go, bush, immediately it's there. How could you miss this? So when you use the word pro, you've got to be very conservative in how you use it, because you can afford to run a unit. Doesn't necessarily mean you're a pro. Yes, a word professional means you get paid for what you do. That is the official meaning for it. But not all pros are the same. But attention to detail, again, with the right pros is a lot, and just knowledge, experience. If a true professional is unbiased, so he's not getting paid by a big company to say certain things, or he directly kind of benefits. If you buy this compound, he makes more money off it, or rather than buying this compound where the margin isn't the same. But I think that's also quite an important one, where people kind of need impartial advice. So it's the same with us. We've had so many people. In fact, we had one earlier. He came in, he saw a video of our YumDress, he bought that, but then he said, look, I bought this car. It was actually a Sierra Cosworth RS. Expensive car, it's a classic already, but they just keep jumping value crazy. And he said, look, so what do you use? By the way, this conversation happened a couple of weeks earlier. So he comes in only today and to kind of update me on what's happened. And, we recommended him X, Y, Z. We didn't give him no discount codes, because the companies didn't give us discount codes for it. We make no money off it. And I said, seriously, you buy this, it's probably one of the most expensive things you'll buy for this type of product, but it's the best. And please just take my word on it. I make no gain from this. So he came in today, 2 weeks after this, and he's polished his car up and all of this, and he said it's probably the best he's used, and it's left this finish, and it's got this result, and he's so happy with it. That's what I mean, impartial. I gain nothing from it. I push him towards another massive company, which sell a lot more stuff than us. And we could lose the customer there, but obviously we don't, because we're super impartial with it. And the main thing is the guy who is now, he said, I'm going to be a lifetime customer of yours. He's got the best advice, and he didn't mind spending a little bit more time here to ask impartial advice. But yeah, I think those 3 things I mentioned are probably the biggest important things that would set weekend warriors and kind of pros apart. On that point, actually, because it's just something reminded me, another thing that I would say, this is on the weekend warrior side, the thing that sets the good ones from the bad ones is so Adam, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because we've had this conversation plenty of times. Certain forums, you've got the prolific weekend warriors on there, and either they are spreading misinformation because they think that there's just no better answer to it, which is 100% wrong, or they sometimes get affiliated with the companies, and if somebody asks, it's like saying what's the best shampoo and they recommend a car wax. It's whatever the question will recommend, the same thing over and over. I know that was a really, really bad example, but you get where I'm coming from. So this is, sometimes you've got to be careful with the weekend warriors, because the guy you see posting, you know, and he's got a top member or rising star, and they give the wrong information out to people who, you know, may want to learn, like, what is the best this, or how do I do this, and they give them the complete wrong answer, that is, you know, tailored to either being unknowledgeable or benefiting themselves in a very kind of selfish way. You've got to watch them people as well. But I just wanted to kind of close in on that one. So that's all the screenshots done. In fact, no, there is one more. Roy, what was the hardest product to develop? Very easy answer. Currently was YumCeramic. It took us years, even before the business was open, and nobody even knew we were opening up a car care brand, and what the plans were. We were just doing it in the shadows, me, Kelly, and the team, while we still had jobs. Crazy, but yes, that was the hardest, because we just couldn't get it to where, you know, we wanted it. But it's been overtaken. I think the product that we will release this year, so in 2020, has been definitely, it wasn't the longest development, but certainly the hardest, because we threw a lot of people at it. And this is why it was the hardest, because it took us, like I said, YumCeramic was, I think, about 3 years between two people. And this new product that we're about to launch this year took us 18 months, but we must have had 10 people on it. So you would think there'd be a lot less time involved, but there wasn't. So yes, hopefully that answers your question. Right, so this was on the personal YumCars community group. So by the way, if you want to join a really good group of amazing people, which is controlled by me and Kelly, please just join that up. There's a lot of good information and just generally nice people. So this is from, obviously, our community group. Guy Gold Dave, does the interior detailer leave a finish, as in does it clean and dress as one? So firstly, YumInterior is not an interior detailer. An interior detailer pretty much is a watered down dressing, usually. We've got a cleaner, so it's a pure cleaner. It's designed to do one job, and that's to clean, agitate, exfoliate, whatever surface it touches on. So no, it doesn't leave anything behind, like a dressing. I hate dressings on the interior. I just think it's not nice look. Certain cars just sometimes need like a little bit of a water-based dressing, you know, like 70-year-old cars that have just faded to hell. But when you're talking normal cars, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, brand new, you don't need it. But that's my personal opinion, you know. It's not. I'm not telling you never use a dressing, because if you like that look, enjoy it. I personally don't. So YumInterior is a cleaner. It cleans all interior surfaces in one bottle. Adam Gill again. So it's a big question with many bullet points. So your biggest mistake, your most fulfilling job, your worst step in detailing, he said in brackets for me it's glass, best way for pulling in new customers who will pay for the service rather than people who don't appreciate it and want a quick £5 wash and vac. So I'll answer them in their order. So your biggest mistake, I don't know what he exactly means by that, whether it's in business, in life. I'm going to keep it business related. The biggest mistake we ever made, and we're still kind of privy to it now, but I would say going from 100%, we're probably down to like 1% every so often with this, is associating ourselves with the wrong people. or sometimes believe in people who have got ulterior motives, like I keep telling you. When it was me at first, you know, when I was the one who was kind of running around, while Kelly was getting to grips with all, you know, all the networks. People approached us, and I just said yes, because I just thought it's for the greatness of the business. I'm a very nice person, so to me, I never had any ulterior motive to, you know, mess the people up or mess their business or their image up, but these people did. So obviously I learned this very, very quickly. There's actually a story, it's not very well publicized, but I'll give you probably the biggest example. There was a local YouTuber here, he had 15,000 subscribers at the time. The names will remain anonymous. And, you know, he didn't bring the best crowd with him, but I thought, okay, you know, he's got 15,000. And I was a bit green behind the ears, as they call it. So, you know, he did a few videos, he promoted the videos. Again, he brought the wrong crowd. I was the main thing. But then eventually we heard rumors that he was walking around the local area, which obviously, again, don't forget, he gets a lot of engagement within the local area. And he was telling people that he owned YumCars. So as usual, a customer just came in there. So as I was saying, local area was being informed that this specific person owned YumCars, and basically, who were we, his little employees? So we confronted it. Obviously, there was a bit more behind the back scenes as well, which I won't go into. But yeah, it didn't end well. Obviously, as these things never do. He took the hump, etc., and all of a sudden this massive 15,000 following in the local area thought that we were the worst people since sliced bread, even though that all the hard work we've put into the business is out the window because apparently we don't own it. So that's probably one of the biggest mistakes we ever had kind of done. Imagine as a new business, you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're honest and wholesome, you do everything correctly, and then somebody just comes in and goes, nah, you're not. This question can be a long-winded one, So moving on to Adam's next question, we just got disturbed with another customer there, so I will just leave that long-winded mistake question out, but you get the image. So his next question is, your most fulfilling job? So I don't know if you mean that by a car, your best customer reaction, but from what I think you mean, the most fulfilling job within the business. And I think the best thing for me is meeting customers, especially the customers who have used our products multiple times. They come in and they tell us their kind of stories. And that's the most fulfilling thing to me. And especially when we go to car shows, I'm a very humble person. And even to this day, if we go to a show 300 miles away and people come up to us from the corner of the United Kingdom, you know, if you just think about it, it's just crazy. And they say, oh, I've used this and I loved it and it's given me this result and I'm happy, and like, what do you recommend? I'm thinking of doing these steps. And I think that is the most fulfilling thing for me. And in fact, I think that's my flaw, because I like talking to people that much that I waste my day. And you know, if you've got a lot of kind of timeline-based tasks on a day and you love people that much, then those tasks don't get done. And as you can, you know, they build up and you get behind. So I am susceptible a little bit to that. But speaking to people and advising, again, even the stuff that we don't sell, I would speak to you all day long. Even if you come in here and you say, I want to buy X, Y, Z, which we don't do, or we're still in development with it, I'll say, okay, you use A, B, C, you know, from another company that we can vouch for, and we don't make no kind of benefit from it. So that's probably my best part of the job, easily. Worst step in detail, and for me it's glass. Worst step, taking wheels off. Hate it. I love the coating kind of process of the wheels, but taking them off, oh, Jesus. I mean, yeah, we've got a ramp and I can put it to eye level, so I don't actually, everything around me and Kelly is kind of suited to no bending, no kneeling, so everything's perfect in our setup, but still that's my worst process. Some people kind of love it, some people hate it, but then, you know, a few members of our team love taking the wheels off and, you know, doing all that stuff, or the parts that they hate doing, I love doing, so we kind of work off each other, and all of a sudden the car gets split into your most favorite areas and your worst areas, so people do each specific task, which is amazing. Best way for pulling in new customers who will pay for the service rather than people who don't appreciate it and want a quick £5 wash and vac. Well, the way I say that, I wouldn't worry about your £5 wash and vac customers. If somebody comes to you, especially if you've got a website, you know, social media, and they say, well, I found you on internet, which means they must have Googled you, right? Or Facebooked you, or Instagrammed you, and looked at your prices. This is what a normal person should do. And if they have done all them steps, you've seen the price, whether you charge 50 quid, 200 quid for, I'm just talking about a maintenance detail here, right? So if they come to you and your price is say 200 quid, and they say, oh, I want a fiver, like a fiver's job, they've wasted their time, they've wasted your time, because they know the pricing, they've come to you with a ridiculous offer, you know, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. It's not your fault. Not your fault, people can't read. Now, if you've got a person who is genuinely not unsure and he rings you and he says, look, my budget's this, what can you do for me? Or I'm thinking of doing this. What, you know, if somebody is not sure on what package they fall into, so they're in the middle of a grey area, then this is where, you know, your personality comes out, your benefits, the products you use, which is very important. You know, I mean, would you pay somebody like a lot of money who uses like the cheapest bleach under the sink? Probably not. It's all part of the package. You've just got to think. People get too focused on detailing industry. This is a very fickle industry, in my opinion, and people are very cliquey. They are a lot of them are like sheep. If you look at any other industry, it don't happen like that. You don't get big Avon forums where you've got, you know, people kicking each other in the teeth about, do you like my hand cream over your hand cream? I doubt that happens. It happens probably at the bigger level, you know, in the boardrooms, maybe, but between users, I've never seen, you know, a bunch of women chucking Avon cream at each other saying, I'm better than yours. But in this industry, it happens, which is very sad. So when you get to a customer, you've got to think outside the box. This is my kind of best advice to you. Just don't read what you read on the forums, and just charge what you're worth. This is what I learned from somebody who's outside of the industry and who was very successful. And this is just the best. Charge what you're worth. If you think you're worth £5 an hour, then go and charge £5 an hour. If you think you're worth £200 an hour, go and charge that. Or not hourly, because I don't agree in hourly rates, but £200 a job, £5 a job, etc. You know, so this is why you see a huge spread of industry costs. Same thing with cars. You can buy a Fiat Punto, or you can go and buy a Bugatti Veyron. They still get you from A to B, and they all do 70 miles an hour. Now, one's worth 3 million, one's worth £1,000. I'm talking about all Fiat Puntos. So shoes, makeup, houses, clothes, toothpaste, same thing. You get what you pay for, and when it comes to services, you get what you pay for. So that's probably the best. Let me just kind of reacquaint. So the best way of pulling in your customers, yeah, I mean, obviously you've got social media, you need to really kind of tap into that. People, you know, again, you think about the box how to market. In the past, they used to chuck leaflets through the door, now it just doesn't work, and they all think you're kind of some burglar. So, again, media is very, very important. Your presentation, again, first impressions count. If you come here and you're wearing, you know, jeans with holes in and your hair's like this, it's not going to work. And I know that sounds petty, but it's true. When somebody comes in and wants to spend serious money, not £5, but serious money, they look at all that stuff, like all that sort of stuff. And just offer multiple services which you're happy with, which you're proficient in, and you can do them to 103%. And then you go and smash it out the park, you over-deliver but undercharge in a way. And you're on the way to success. That's my opinion. So another question from Dave, one product you really like to bring to the market that currently you haven't? Good question. Oh God, there's so many products. So I've got 42 products in the development line at the minute, all of which I want to bring out tomorrow, which is not going to happen. So a very high-end paste wax, probably, yeah, a very high-end paste wax, which is packaged world-class, got world-class performance, it's got just world-class everything, you know, so the moment you pick that box up, you just, you know, you're in heaven. This is my long-term project. Huge project, you know, packaging's involved and, you know, special materials which I can't reveal. You know, you need to tie these things in together. People don't realize it's not as simple as, you know, going to China, going, I want this for this, you know. Everything's custom made in the UK, including the packaging. So you just need to find the right people. So that's probably the product I really want to bring out, really cool. As I said, I love wax, so yeah, it's my dream and aspiration. Most fulfilling job or moment in your journey so far? Oh, that is a good question. That is a good question. I mean, obviously the most fulfilling job obviously I've already answered about the whole customer facing element of it, love that. But my most moment in your journey, I mean the moment, I'll tell you, I can't answer it fully because it's still in the process, and obviously the non-disclosure agreements are in place for exactly this reason. But when me and Kelly, as a company, so YumCars, when we get recognized on a national level, you know, and you're dealing with people that you see only on documentaries and films or, you know, news, and you get recognized by people like that or companies like that, that is probably when you think, okay, you know, something's happening here. Obviously, to get to that level, you have to bend over 3 times around yourself and break your back a few times to, you know, make it happen. But that's probably the thing where I thought, wow, you know, it's crazy. It's like you hear lottery winners. It seems amazing. You've done this, and this, but it will never happen to me. And it happens to you, and like, oh my God! And then you're speaking, you know, to hopefully the next kind of guy who wins it. It's the same thing with this, you know, when you look at like the success stories, and you look, and you're like, wow, you know, it's amazing. And when even a glimmer, so out of 100%, you've got a not 1 chance, and you know, you make that first stepping stone to the end goal. It's very fulfilling because we do 20-hour days sometimes, you know, quite a lot actually during the month too, and people don't realize this, and the passion and effort and the money we've put. I mean, we've put everything into this business where we don't have a plan B. You know, people have a fallback plan. Plan B is reinforcing plan A. That's my phrase. There is no fallback. We're in it fully, and we're so deep in it here that, you know, like we breathe this, we breathe it, and we try and get acquainted with every part of business. Got nothing to do with car care here at this point. It's, you know, the analytics part of the business, the marketing side of the business. We're trying to be experts in all areas, which is very hard. So when all your hard work eventually pays off, that's when it's really, really fulfilling. So yeah, but hopefully I can talk about that moment more in the future. When are you bringing out a wax, Daniel Sparrow? Soon. Tony, can you mix the detail spray and ceramic together? As I think I've seen a comment about this one being done. Yes, you can. A lot of people are doing it wrong though. So they're doing like 250 ml with 250 ml to make like a 500 ml bottle. Wouldn't recommend that because you're losing kind of both elements of it in a way. So if you really want to try it, and I only stumble on this because I like to like pour things into bottles and see what happens. So basically, 450 ml of detailer. So imagine you've got a full bottle, you've just used a little bit, you know, just enough, and you pour up to the neckline in ceramic. So what's that, 50 ml potentially? Obviously give it a good shake. And what that causes is you've got the super slickness of the detail spray, which is then mixed in with the added slickness of the ceramics. So that's one benefit. You've got the ease of use. I mean, even though both products are just a doddle to use, but you've got the ease of use of a detail spray style product to then add it in a ceramic bite. So you're getting gloss, slickness, and a little bit of protection. So as I was saying, it adds that ceramic bite into it. So what you're getting is a bit of a mix. It's if you mix any more, you might as well use either or both of them. So I still recommend, if you want the best results, you need to do ceramic on a base panel. So naked paint, 2 layers is advised, 24 hours apart if you're in a position to do so, to let the solvents and the resins harden. You add a secondary coat of ceramic to obviously double check that you haven't done any patchwork, if you missed anything, or if your surface is level, you're doubling up on the protection. And you're then maintaining it with the individual, again, detail spray. Now, if you want the best of both worlds, you can mix it, as I've just said, but we are working on a line which kind of alleviates the need to mix anything, and it'll be done for you, and even better results as well. So there's something in the works for that. So next question. Already been mentioned, but any plans for a soft wax? Again, yeah, hopefully soon. How did you get into detailing, and did you realize the ambition to bring out a product range? Good question, Carl. Carl Cartwright. Really good question. So detailing, I'm going to ask the camera the question, but I know I'm not going to get any answers back from it. And the question was, do you want the long version or the short version? I'm going to give you the medium version. So the sole reason I got into detailing is many years ago, when I bought my first ever nice car. So I used to drive in your usual, you know, £1,000, £500 cars. I think the most expensive car up to that point was a £3,000 car. In fact, it was a Fiat Punto. So it was a 1 litre beast, did 0 to 60 in about 4 days. And I didn't care for it, you know. And then luckily I was in a job where I couldn't afford nicer things. I worked away for a little while, and I came back with a very good amount of money because I didn't spend anything when I was abroad. And I managed to secure myself a brand new off the production line Audi S5, you know. So it was a good thing for me at the time, you know. I thought that was the best car for my budget, which was quite a healthy budget still. So I wasn't kind of skimping out on no options. It was all, you know, fully spec. So at this point, this is where I realized this was at the 9-year point ago, where I thought, right, I need to look after this. You know, this has cost almost half a house. I need to protect the investment. And I thought this was my kind of forever car. It was a bit naive then. Because it was the first nice car, so literally I cared for it like there was no tomorrow. I started with the usual route, you know, Halfords and all that sort of stuff, because I knew nothing. Now, as soon as YouTube came along and the word car care was kind of typed into it, or detailing how to wash your car, obviously you know because you're watching this on YouTube, the world just went woof, it just opened up for me. And this is where I keep saying to people, it's coming up to 10 years, but let's just say 9. But 9 years of just retail experience of buying every product there is to buy multiple times. Even if it was a bad product, I bought it again just to make sure I knew it was a bad product, just to kind of reconfirm my kind of thoughts. So, and for 9 years, just imagine I was in a job where I could do this 3 times a week. So 3 times a week, every year. During the summer, it was like once a day. It was absolutely crazy. And then, you know, when you're doing waterless washing, is the car dirty enough to wash? You know, all of that sort of stuff. And I became on a pro level on certain things, kind of knowledge-wise, without ever wanting to be a pro. And then a thing happened to me where, in my job still, people say, well, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? So I got to a point where I was almost earning the same money I was in my job, but with another job, i.e., you know, washing cars, waxing cars, etc. And at this point, you know, a little seed came into my head. I thought, you know, it could be a possibility. Obviously, I moved around with the job. I worked for some other people free. I'll add that one in. So I always, for any car care people that I work for, it was always for free because I still was in a very good paid job. And again, like I said, I had no ulterior motives. I didn't want to put anybody out of business. I just wanted to do it free just because I just love this. So obviously at this point, this is where I started. I knew in my head. I had the right push from Kelly as well, from my parents, the people close to me who are still kind of close to me now. And I thought, okay, this is when you'd start making the connections. So again, this is where the chemistry came into it and the research. And when you talk in chemistry research, the screen's not tall enough to show you the amount of work and the reading material that you need to do. And only then you're like 3% into it. Now, people who do this, you know what I'm talking about. And I was just on my main job at that time was just acquisition of knowledge. Knowledge is power, you know, data, knowledge. So obviously, as I said to you in the previous questions as well, like Ceramic was in development even before the business was open. Obviously, I made a crucial mistake where we moved from London to Mansfield, where I had connections down south. I started to kind of know people, make a name for myself within the car scene for the detailing side, obviously. And I move to an area where I knew zero. So we kind of almost as if we wanted to tell life, like, come on, let's have a good challenge. And we did that. So it was very, very hard for us up here. It's, you know, it always will be. Life is always, you know, you move a step back, there's always somebody chasing you. So I'm not saying it'll ever get easier. And yeah, so this was how, this very short story, the very short version. But the product range was always, because as I said, just imagine this, I'm going to ask you guys to put yourself into my shoes. So you spend tens of thousands of pounds on retail price products, okay? And you love washing. I mean, at the time, all my cars were black. Now, again, I've got a black car again. So, but at the time it was black, paint was just mint. And I just thought, oh, I just love it, you know? And I would just wax and wax. I don't know, I must have got like 50 kilos of wax on my car at this point. Again, obviously, I know that is not the best way nowadays, but I just thought, imagine to have my name on my product that I developed, that literally everything that goes in there, I control. So literally everything, even from the caps, I choose the caps, it's my own destiny. So this is the question I'm asking you guys and girls who watch this. It's just so cool, you know, this is where the initial dream came up, and I thought, well, you know, you could take on the big boys. And because I knew I had certain things other people don't have. And I won't mention what I have because that gives away our secret, but, and I just thought this could be really, really cool. And even to this day, you know, we sell to all these countries, we have amazing customers, we've had ups and downs, like every business does. And obviously currently the whole world thing that's happening. And I'm still as passionate as I am in day one. You go and put me back into my place where I first started this and I'll be all over it. And honestly, as long as the weather's nice, because I used to do it in the rain and stuff as well, but I'll be all over it. So that's the question, to have everything that is yours, you know, you control it. You control who you talk to, who you don't talk to. It's just, and this is kind of where the dream is, and it still is here. It'll always be here. Obviously, dreams kind of change because we're talking about, you know, huge facilities now and all this team and, you know, bringing everybody in. The dream just gets version 2.0, 3.0. The dream's still the same though, so it has little arms coming off it, but that river is still going towards kind of its end goal. But yeah, as you can tell through the camera, I'm still really passionate about all this stuff, and yeah, that's where it started, pretty much. I'm cautious because the video, I'm not actually that bothered how long the video is going to be, but you know, I don't want people to fall asleep. Questions in one. So one car you'd love to detail and one car you'd hate to detail. Don't say none. I bet there's some car you'd rather just shoot yourself if it came in. Well, the answer to that question is, Steve, your car. Can you remember? Wet sanding it, polishing it, and then wet sanding it again because your body shop needed shooting. Yeah, so... but on a serious note, one car you'd hate to detail. I'll be honest with you, people who chase exotics, you know, the Lambos, the Ferraris, all of this stuff. The more high-end the car becomes, and we've done some high-end cars, so I can answer this quite comfortably. You know, you get these sharp panels sometimes, like very tricky. Paint's finicky. Sometimes you make an accident on that sort of paint. You know, it's crazy. I mean, I've got a customer, his paint option is £150,000 option, paint option. Like, let that just sink in. Like, these things are worth, you know, more than houses, and that's the paint. So if you make a mistake on one of them paints, it's not kind of pretty. So you've got to also think about that. So I wouldn't say, you know, kind of chasing exotics is the one. Exotics will come to you because of your level of work. But one car you'd love to detail. That is a difficult question. That is a very difficult. I'd love to detail something super rare, you know, where you think nobody's touched this, which is almost impossible nowadays. But, you know, something that maybe 5 people in the world have touched, you know, all over the world. Hello. Bloody hell. Woo! Come here. Come here. We're on a video. No, you've got to come here, please. Please. We've got a guy who's just driven from Oxford. Aylesbury. Crazy. Keep getting disturbed today. So, as you saw, a really good friend of mine has decided to drive from Aylesbury. So I'm going to just kick it straight back off. I'm not sure where I touched it with Steve Mander's question, but again, the car you'd love to detail, as I said, something super rare where, you know, a handful of people have ever touched it in the world. That would be something cool one day, you know, like a super rare kind of hypercar or which we can advertise, or like a super rare, like old school car. That would be really nice. So question number 2 from Steve still, where's detail story? My 500 paint reading does not count. I've already mentioned that, so yeah. 500 microns, it was horrific. So some products you would like to add to the Armada. Like I've already mentioned, we've got 42 products in development, but a super high in pace wax is kind of up there. But in terms of close releases, we're going to have another 2 to 3 products this year anyway, being released, and we're just going to keep rolling with it as and when they're ready, of course. So some things you wish people would implement into their daily, monthly, quarterly washes. So, this is a really good one. So basically, what a lot of people don't understand is when they're washing and drying their car, the worst things you can do is wash and dry your car. So the one thing I would love for all people, if you watch this video and you have the kit that I'm about to mention, please do it, and most people do have this. So when after you finished your first kind of like a pre-wash step, so your snow foam, for example, you rinse it off. Most people go directly into the hand wash or the contact wash. What I would recommend is please refoam the car. So take the 3 minutes that it's going to take, reform the car in something like the Yum Wash. Now, Yum Wash has been specifically designed for one thing, and there's a few keywords in detailing. One of them is lubrication. So when you're drying the car, lubrication. When you're washing, when you're wiping, you know, everything has to be lubricated. That's where you're causing the swirls and scratches if it's not. So reform the car in the Yum Wash. So 100 ml to 900 ml of water. Wash it, foam it, and go directly into your hand car wash. Now, the first person actually who has tried this, so Kelly Herbert, obviously I've already answered some of her questions, and she said that's probably the best thing she's ever done. Now, Kelly, if you're watching this, please just comment down in the video and just, if you can, an in-depth comment exactly to what it's brought to your game. But the Yum Wash will just change your life. You can still put some in the bucket, and yeah, you can still wash with the usual two bucket method in there. But once you have a little bit of covering of Yum Wash, it is just unbelievable. The slickness is just unreal. Now, especially when it comes into winter time, you've got a lot more contaminants in the paint, and you will pick something up. I will pick it up, you'll pick it up, everybody will. And the whole point is to minimize the potential for damage. So Yum Wash your car via the foam lines is just unbelievable. Now, if you're doing just a basic maintenance detail like a lot of people do, again, lubrication, try and spray Yum Detailer on panel by panel as you're drying it with your waffle weave drying towel. And honestly, it'll just change your life again. You add in the gloss, the water just starts to run off itself, which obviously it's part of the formula. It's water dispersation, or it disperses water. Can't speak English today. And it just, the towel glides over the paintwork. It's unbelievable. And probably the third thing, which I think everybody needs to implement this, is when you're doing your wheels, your tires. So you need to scrub the hell out of your tires. You need to get that foam up, you need to scrub them, you need to give them the proper treatment. As you're doing your wheels, it takes you about 15 seconds as part of each tire. And this just allows you to lay something like, again, Yum Dress, or your favorite tire dress, or whichever one you use. It just allows it to lay it cleaner, less of it, because, you know, it's on a super clean surface, and it just bonds to the tire so much better. And the people who say, oh, I've got sling, it's the tire dressing, it's this, it's the tire compound, it's none of those things. Any premium tire dressing will stick beautifully if the tire is prepped. Like in detailing, they say it's all in the prep. You wouldn't wax your car when you haven't washed it. Same thing, like why would you apply tire dressing to a dirty tire? So those three things I would say are kind of the staples I would like to see everybody implementing. Best tool you own in the detail fleet? That's a good question. Best tool. Best tool. I've got a couple, so I'll just, again, it's like more of a tip thing. So my lights, or everything from Scan Grip we use, like super expensive lights for what they are. Obviously, it's not an expensive item, but for a light, it's expensive. So my Scan Grips are amazing. The new cordless line of polishers we've got, so from Flex, again, I'm waiting for Rupes. I think they're going to nail it, or nail Flex into the ground with their kind of variants. So, I mean, the cordless is unbelievable, because you can be working on the end of the car, which is here, for example, and you've got to walk all the way across the unit and blow it. Now, of course, you can get extension cables, but they always get tangled. But with a cordless thing, you can just pick it up, boom, blow it out at the door with your compressed air. And you're back in business, and you don't have to worry about wires moving everywhere. And the third best tool, honestly, you're going to be surprised I'm going to say this, it's not some super expensive machine or air compressors. It's actually microfiber towels. They have saved us in so many kind of aspects. Like I keep saying to people, please, whether you get it from us, from somebody else, it doesn't really matter. Just build your microfiber towel collection. You don't have to go and spend $2,000 on microfiber towels tomorrow, but you can spend 50 quid a month. And over the year, you know, you could have spent £600 on towels. And trust me, when people say you don't need that many towels, you do, especially when you're doing interiors, paint corrections, when you're doing all the grubby jobs. You just need as many towels as you can afford over time. So Steve, awesome questions. It's sorry for the boring questions. They're really cool. So Nice question. So on to the next one. So Paul Sweeney, what's best for cleaning exhaust to clean soot before I polish? Very easy. Yum wheels, wheel willy or detail and brush, but I would say both because the wheel willy will go right into the exhaust, where the detail and brush will do the tips and stuff. But yeah, there is nothing special. There's no exhaust cleaner, and the people who sell exhaust cleaner, it is rebranded another chemical, usually either a wheel cleaner or an APC, which is really strong. You don't need that. So when you're doing all four corners of the wheel, I would recommend just spending the extra couple of minutes on the back of your car, just saturate it in Yum wheels, let it dwell, let it do its business and start to bleed anything off. Wheel willy the barrel of the exhaust, or the pipe of the exhaust, and just detail brush the tips, rinse them off, and that's it. And once you metal polish them, like you said before, I polish them with Autosol. Again, so you're going to get it cleaned up, you're going to polish them up, and then what? If you don't clean them every week, they're just going to get back to where you started again. So just take a couple of minutes every time you wash it, and they'll look amazing. What was your first car? George, a good answer. So my good question. So first car, my first ever car was a hand-me-down from my mum and dad. It was the Renault Megane 1.6. It was coupe. A slanty back or fastback, whatever they're called. So 1.6. It was all right, actually. It was the most powerful car I've ever driven at that time. 1.6. I thought I was on top of the world. There's a hill where we live, so I used to just smash it up the hill, and yeah, it was quite a quick car. And then me and my dad went to buy the Fiat Punto that I always talked about, and yeah, so that was kind of the newer car that I had. I had a few more gadgets for a Fiat Punto, and obviously then the rest of the car progression could be on another video. Will you be releasing the polish? Richard Macy again. I've already answered that. So can I take the new car out for a blast? Pretty please, Michael Milburn. Michael, never gonna happen. Nobody will ever drive it. In fact, I'll tell you a story. When I first met Kelly, I met her brother, so it was the first time I met her brother. I was a bit nervous. So at this point, I had an Audi RS3. So again, it was tuned. It was specifically lowered for performance, not for the look. Different wheels, specifically like light wheels. So the car was set up right, and it was pushing a lot of power, four-wheel drive. So it was fast. It would embarrass certain supercars. So I met Kelly's brother. His name's Phil, by the way. So it was about December time. So the roads were wet, obviously a little bit icy, and unbeknown to Phil, about 3 days before I met him, I had brand spanking new tires, so new Michelins. And yeah, Michelins are great, but still the first 300 miles on most tires, you still got that kind of compound oil in the way they mold them. So the car was very slippy and slidey. So stupidly, again, first time I met Phil, I didn't want to seem like a wimp. He said, "Oh, can I drive your car? I want to try it." Kelly is shaking her head. Kelly, Philip's wife, is shaking her head. And I said, "Yeah, there you go, bush," and he's never experienced a car. Like, it must have been, I think, 3 times the power that his car had. So again, you might not know how to handle it. So he launch controlled that out the junction, new tires, the car was sliding all over the place. Kelly was that panicked that about halfway through the drive, she rang me up, and I could hear Philip's wife saying, "I've got the divorce lawyer on kind of hold." So I made it in one place, and it's still a running joke between me and Phil that whoever owns the RS3 now will still have my imprints of my hands in the passenger dash, because I was literally on the verge of having a heart attack and a stroke at the same time. I mean, these roads were narrow, country lanes. It was foggy, so the fog was coming in. You couldn't see more than 10 feet, and we were just ripping it down these roads. And if anyone's been in a fast passenger ride, when you're not in control, it feels a lot worse. It probably didn't feel that bad to him, but to me, yeah, I was dying inside, and it was the most expensive car at the time I'd ever owned. So that was interesting. That was interesting. So the answer to your question, Michael, never again is anybody driving any of my cars apart from Kelly, especially cars that are as powerful as the GTS. One question. This is a good question, actually. I've been looking forward to answering this question. One question I'd like to ask is wax dead with all these new products coming out, Carlton Gadsby. So obviously I replied to him already saying that's a cracking question. It'll be a very nice one to answer. So again, you know my history with wax. I love it. And then you obviously know my history with kind of paint coatings, how we apply them, and we've applied pretty much all paint coatings. I think there's a handful that we haven't touched still, but even we've got a few friends who are accredited with certain big manufacturers like Geon and stuff like that, G-Technic and their Ultra series, you know. So names will be unmentioned. But so we've had even the accredited coatings that could last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. 9 years is the longest one we've applied. So having been obviously at the wax game, obviously sealants don't count because everyone can use a sealant, and you've got the pro coating game. So the answer to the question is wax dead. Personally, it'll never die, and I think there's a massive market for it still. Now, the reason I say this is you go to a detailing forum and you ask the same question, 9.9 people out of 10 will say to you, yeah, coatings, graphene this, or whatever next comes into the craze, because you're getting 5 million years durability, but it's not about the durability, and it's not all about the gloss either. So certain coatings do great slickness, they look like a wax, they kind of just look good, you know, nice candy gloss, and I appreciate those coatings, and there is a market, huge market for them. However, please tell me that let's say you don't have a garage, you don't have the funds to go and spend 2 grand, 3 grand. I mean, some people charge 10 grand for paint correction, just to put a coating on. Whereas if you're not bothered about swirls, this is where I'm a bit different to the other professionals. I realize most people can't see swirls. And if they can't see, and if they can see swirls, they don't care about them. And that, you know what, fair enough. Some people just want a very shiny car, and not many people are going to come up to a car like bonnet in the summer and go, oh, I can see all the swirl marks. Some people just don't care. They want the beading, they want that therapeutic time with their car on weekends, or every day, or however often they wax the car. And anybody can do it. You can put a wax that on top of a paint that's not been clayed, that's not been polished, it's got swirls, it's got no swirls. You can literally slap it on anything. Whereas a coating, you can't do this. You have to do some serious prep. And again, it would be a massive shame if you go and put a coating on a car that's not had paint correction, because you're sealing in a very durable, with a durable kind of resin coating, a car that has not been paint corrected. Whereas with a wax, you can put it on if you do want a paint correction. To remove a wax, it takes you seconds. And there's so many waxes. You've got sure waxes, you've got durable waxes, which I'm not a fan of. Where I'm a fan is just a premium wax. I get excited talking about waxes. You can still tell I'm really, really excited. But a very nice durable, a nice premium wax. You know, you could pay £100 for it, and I think it's a worthy investment. Out of £100 tin, you probably get 15 applications. Even if you get 2 months, that's 30 months. What's that? You know, almost 3 years of use for £100. I think it's a fair trade-off. Even £200-300, it doesn't really matter what the cost of the wax is. And the way wax looks, you know, you get that cliche phrase in the industry, the just wax look. But seriously, when you put a nice wax on a decently prepped car, even if it's just had a clay, like a clay service and stuff, it just looks unbelievable. And the biggest thing, and nobody, honestly, this is gonna open up a few cans here. Nobody's talking about this in the industry, which they wouldn't, but I'll tell you something. So you go and paint correct the car. You then go and coat it in the most ridiculous coatings available on the market, and 2 things happen. Version 1, you can either swirl the paint, then what happens? or you can have a localized scratch, not a super deep one, but you brush your belt against the door, something like that, or your bags. Can you polish out that scratch? Let's just talk about the localized scratch. Can you polish it out? No, is the answer. The real answer is yes. You can polish pretty much anything out if you've got the paint depth. But if you were to polish, imagine this is the scratch, all around me is the door, this is the scratch. You can't just go and polish it out, especially on an older coating, even a coating that's 3 months, 6 months old. First issue, and I've had this experience firsthand, you're going to have a paint difference, okay? Because a coating will add something else to the paint. It's got that synthetic look to it. So you're going to have just a line of, say, black, okay? And then how do you recoat this very thin toothpick-like scratch? You can't. So you're going to potentially over-wipe the coating. So when you apply the coating, which is normal, but then you have to wipe it, right? Which means you're going to push coating up, down, left and right. And most coats, I'll give you an example, some coatings don't adhere to themselves. So what then happens then? So you're going to apply a non-stick product to a non-stick surface. You could potentially have blemishes. You can have just like a paint difference. And then what? So this is the problem, that no people are talking about it, because everybody is just trying to rip the bum out the industry and go, oh, paint correction, $2,000, this is all you need. It's not the case. I always tell my customers, you've got option 1, coatings, you've got option 2, waxes, and I give them the problem with the wax, and I give them the problem with the coating, because every product has a disadvantage, whether it's durability or something else. So so you can't potentially reapply the coating on top of a coating. How do you know you've removed the coating? Is there a certain figure you should be looking for? Is there a certain color depth change you should be looking at? Nobody knows the answer to this. And if the whole car swirled, you need to potentially, I'm not saying every time you get a swirl you polish the car, but when you polish a coating, to remove especially certain kind of harder grades of coating, it's quite hard. It's doable. A lot of people say you need to wet sand coatings. That's not the case either. There are some that you do. But then how do you know you've removed the whole coating off a car? You can't just IPA the coating or hit it with an acid bath in the pre-wash stages outside, because these coatings are resistant to acids and alkalines. So you've got a real problem. Now, if you've got a wax and you go and ding your door with the same scratch, polish it out, re-wax it, you're back in business, 5-minute job. But then again, the trade-off is, instead of getting 5-year durability, you're getting 3 months, for example. But how long does it take to wax a car? So nobody's ever mentioned this on live video anyway, as far as I'm aware, and I just have. So it'll be interesting to hear what people say. So this is why I'm such a big advocate of wax, not because of the easiness of potentially buffing a scratch out. I'm just giving you the worst case scenario here, but it's just the look, the ease of use, and just the experience. I know you can't see this, I can go and get every single wax there, open the tins, and I can have an evening by myself, just having a laugh, sniffing waxes, feeling them, looking at the colours. It's very strange of me to do so, as you can tell, but it's cool, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who open waxes and smell them and do all sorts of stuff. If you go and open up 5 bottles of paint coating and start sniffing them, you won't be around for much longer. They all smell the same, they all look the same. So a wax is just, I think there'll always be a place for wax in the industry. Now, the super expensive waxes, I think, are out the game, because why would you pay a wax that's worth £5,000, okay? And then what advantage does that bring you? See, at this point, I'm away from wax at that point, because you're paying £5,000 for a pot of wax that actually does you no tangible benefit to what a £200 wax can give you potentially. But when you're talking from £0 to £200-300, those waxes will always be around, especially the ones that look nice, smell nice, give you the amazing look, okay durability, and just crazy water behavior, which is what a wax is known for. I mean, the water just beading off it just looks nice. So those waxes will all be on the market, and I'll always buy those waxes. and that's my personal opinion, and I would probably say 50% of people will be there. Obviously, people will say, well, in the winter, you know, you get cold and wax and all of this sort of stuff, which is true. And with a coating, you may not have to wash it all through winter if you're that lazy. But again, how long does it take you? Put some gloves on, put a jacket on, wax your car, wipe it off, it'll be fine. Or just use like a rinse, a spray and rinse off sealant if you're that lazy in the winter. But yeah, waxes are staying, they're accessible to all. You can't, I mean, we've had a lot of customers in the shop today, and if we had a paint coating available right now, and a lady, for example, we had a lady come in asking for a bit of advice, and she picked up a few bits, and she said, oh, what's this bottle? So I explained to her, oh, it's a coating, blah, blah, blah. She wouldn't be able to buy it because she probably would be in a body shop tomorrow, whereas if we had a wax, what's this, and you give her a benefit, of course you can walk away with it right now, because you can't get wax wrong pretty much. Even if you do get it really badly wrong, you can remove it within a few seconds. So yeah, the answer to your question, I was passionate about wax. I am. It's always here to stay. So yeah, that's my serious answer. For the people who are local or come visit us from afar, like you've just seen my friend from Aylesbury, if you're one of these people, just come in, and if you watch this video, ask me a few questions about what I, think about wax. Have a look at some of our waxes. I can get a few out, the cheap ones, the expensive ones, and I can, tell you what the good and the pros are between all the waxes that we have. But yeah, it's a really good product, one of the longest standing products as well. I think it's probably the longest product in the detailing industry, if I'm not mistaken. I think car wax was developed probably first, when you had the first cars the first painted cars, they had that, single stage finish, and they had, obviously the wax back then was very undeveloped. It was a raw kind of material, and I bet it was an absolute nightmare to use, but still, it was been around for a while now, so I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Certain wax markets will be dying, the custom car market, where you can pay somebody a couple £100 to get a custom box with your name on it, but a very basic blend of wax, I think they will die, because I think these guys just haven't got the capability to make a good wax. But the professional wax makers who do it in bulk and have done it for a while as well, there'll always be a market there. So, just to make sure, I think that's all the questions done. So this is kind of our inaugural Q&A. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I've been interrupted a few times by some customers. So if I haven't completed a sentence and I've jumped to a next question, obviously you know why. You've seen people coming in. But I hope it's answered all your questions. Now, I would love to do another one of these, and I could probably do a monthly one on YouTube, because this is obviously now going to be a very long video, and you could listen to it when you're in bed, when you're driving. So the people who have watched this, you can see how in depth I can go into your question or an answer. So if you do re-ask the question, or you share the video and people want to ask questions and watch this, just please ask whatever you want. I can try and go very deep into all kind of elements of the business, but also as well, if you want to go real deep, where it's like a no limits, no hold 'em type of poker type of thing, just on the membership, we're going to some serious content about business and stuff like that. So if you're interested in these longer format videos, please check that out as well, which obviously the link will be in the description, as it always is. But anyway, I'm going to cut it short now. Hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry I've took a bit of a break from kind of YouTube. It's only been a week, but I missed last week because we've been super busy. So the content is going to start rolling seriously now. We've made a few adjustments within the business where we can focus on this sort of stuff and engaging with you guys. So please, hope you have the notifications turned on, because they're going to be dinging very soon. But anyway, hope all the questions have been answered. If you want to save some more questions for next time, I'm going to post it in our YumCars community. That's going to be in the link as well. Please join up. We've got some cool people in there. The group's growing daily as well. So another one of these videos is coming soon. So anyway, guys, hope you have a great time watching this, or you've had a great time watching this and you've learned something from me, and hopefully maybe actually next time I'll try and get Kelly involved as well. She's got a few interesting points to talk about too. But anyway, guys, have a good one. I'll catch you in the next one.